This presentation is based on the article, Interactive Read-Alouds for English Learners in the Elementary Grades. The desired outcomes for this presentation are that I'm able to introduce new strategies to incorporate into routine read-alouds, and to also provide another support strategy that will support vocabulary development for all students, including English language learners. Before I begin, I want you all to stop and think. Do you think that it would be difficult to read through a text one time without stopping to point out vocabulary words or to ask questions? And how much of your daily instruction is teacher talk rather than student-led interaction? The article noted that many teachers, after adopting this style, initially found it very challenging to read through an entire text without stopping to ask students questions or to note something about the text. Teachers also noticed that after adopting this style of read-alouds, teachers realized how much they relied on teacher talk and students were missing opportunities for interaction. So what is different about interactive read-alouds? Having a routine to rely on when planning your read-alouds allows for teachers to think about the vocabulary they are selecting, and it also allows for structured conversations around the text. This article also focuses on the importance of choosing texts that are culturally relevant for students. Structured conversations around the selected text. When ELs, or English language learners, interact in their second language, they create more opportunities for receiving input, but they also have the opportunity to increase fluency and accuracy in their second language. Learners are also able to scaffold language usage when having conversation with peers. It can sometimes be the case in a classroom that has many ELs that the teacher takes up most of the discussion time with teacher talk. This article pushes that literacy instruction should not forget to include activities for students to practice the language in conversation. Here's an image that shows how an interactive read-aloud can be structured, broken down into the different steps. Here's a breakdown of the daily structure of a read-aloud. The structure of read-aloud should take about 30 minutes of time during the day, and the same text is used for multiple days until it is completed in small chunks. The text should be chunked into 200 to 250 word sections. In each section, the teacher selects 3 to 4 vocabulary words to focus on for the day. Vocabulary is introduced before the teacher begins to read the text. The teacher can introduce the vocabulary using visuals and student-friendly definitions. When selecting vocabulary, the teacher should focus on Tier 2 vocabulary rather than Tier 1 or Tier 3. Teachers can also activate student knowledge related to the text by asking questions and having the students make predictions. Here is another sample read-aloud template of the vocabulary that the teacher selected for the chunk of the day and their plan for previewing the text and questions they will ask, along with the student-friendly definitions that they are going to introduce to the students. More information about the read-alouds. So each article or text that you select is chunked into text, like I said before, into 200 and 250 word selections. The chunk that is selected is read 2 times to the student. The first time during the reading, the teacher does not stop to discuss anything about the reading. Before the teacher starts to read, the teachers give the student a purpose or a goal for reading the story, such as listen for vocabulary words in the story. Reading the story without stopping can lighten the load for ELs since they are getting repeated exposure to the same piece of text. After the first read, teachers ask students to retell main events, but only asking literal questions. Literal questions can be who, what, when, or why. After, teachers can ask inferential questions, which will push students to make a judgment about the text. Teachers should push students to use key vocabulary words that were focused on for the day. The second reading, teachers focus on vocabulary and making deeper connections with the words. Using strategies like turn and talks can also be a great way to allow emergent English learners to pair up with a language partner and use their first language to scaffold to discuss the text. In the second read, the students also listen for vocabulary words and can use a signal to show that they heard the word, like giving a thumbs up, so teachers can pause and have a discussion around the vocabulary word. After the teacher finishes both readings for the day, the class can have a deeper conversation around the chunk of text that was selected. Teachers can review the vocabulary one more time and push the students to listen or use the vocabulary that was used in the text for the day. This cycle is continued each day for the remainder of the chunks of the text for the reading. At the end, teachers can review previous vocabulary and main ideas to make sure that students have a full understanding. Here are some results of this study. After adopting this strategy, almost all teachers responded that they would most likely continue to use this read aloud framework. Teachers became more critical about the vocabulary they were choosing, rather than only looking at the vocabulary that was pre-selected by the textbook company. The routine also provided consistent activities that allowed English language learners to know what was expected during each part of the daily instruction. Thank you.